There we go. And little bit of a rant. This is really important. I was just talking. So I just came back. I mentioned this from the Baltimore National Speakers Association, and I was having lunch with a group of people. And of course, when you sit down at a random table with a guy like me, yes, you get free consulting. So they were talking about fees. They were talking about the niche. They were talking about what should I do? How should I do it? And it's so funny because I was kind of channeling you guys, and I was channeling some of the things that we say and that we do in here. And I ended up going on this big rant, which I will summarize. It'll be a medium small, a medium small rant for your benefit because you're an advanced group. You don't need like the hour-long rant that they got. But it's about the voice of judgment versus the voice of objective intelligence. And this affects everything, all the questions that we've been seeing recently, all the support tickets that you guys are submitting, which is great, by the way. Good job getting used to that new support email and support ticket system because people are getting better, faster answers that way. Things about, are my documents ready? Are my documents perfect? What about pricing? Got some pricing questions today. I think Christy asked some pricing questions about, what if they find out that my price was this over here and my price was that over there? What if they ask about whether I've done this before, who I've done this with before? All these kind of questions that have been kind of the theme for the last week or two. Here's what I told them at lunch in Baltimore. I said, the number one thing that you have to, as a successful entrepreneur, not just as a successful speaker, but as a successful entrepreneur, there are two voices playing in our heads all the time. One is called the voice of judgment. And let me tell you what the voice of judgment sounds like. That's capital V, capital J, like voice of judgment, the big J. This is, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Who are you to call yourself an expert? No one's ever going to pay your fee. They don't know your deep, dark secrets, that secretly you're a fraud. Secretly you're an imposter. You're just putting on this, I'm a speaker. I'm an expert. You should pay me a lot of money. No one's buying that. That's ridiculous. It is the inner critic, that parent voice, right? That judging parent. And again, your parents might have been wonderful or awesome or horrible. Doesn't matter. It's that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not worthy, you're not, they're going to find you out. They're going to find you out, dude. Leonard, they're going to find you out. They are. You specifically, man, they're going to find you out. We're not even talking about Jennifer Trene. I mean, they've already found her out. But this is usually the default volume on that little red devil who's on your shoulder. The default volume knob is set to 10. 10. That we hear that all the time. Now, on the other shoulder is what I call the voice of objective intelligence. The voice of objective intelligence, little red devil costume, little white angel costume on this shoulder. Little white angel saying, you're pretty awesome. You've done some amazing things in your life. Your clients love you. You cause these amazing transformations to happen. You are well worth it. You've done this before. You got this. You can handle this. No problem. Let's go get the next one. Boom. Easy. Done. Go get them, Tiger. I got your back. You're fantastic. I can't wait to see what you do next. Now, that all sounds pretty good, except the default volume level on your voice of objective intelligence is usually set to about a 2. So you got the voice of judgment here banging away on your brain cells every single day, every single minute of every single day at volume 10. And then you've got this little person over here giving you equally valid information. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying, hey, this is one person's opinion. This is someone else's opinion. Little devil, little angel. Why is this one set to 10 and this one is set to 2? So here's mindset shift number 1. Acknowledge that we have these two little voices, these two data streams going into our brains and going into our consciousness at every single waking moment. Acknowledgement's 80% of the solution here, guys. It really is. I learned this. I took, I'll tell you where this came from. It was a profound, profound learning experience for me. So 2002, I started my business. 2003, 2004, I went to Stanford Business School specifically to study with Dr. Michael Ray. And Dr. Michael Ray is a mentor of mine, fantastic guy. He had taught the Creativity in Business MBA course at Stanford's Graduate School of Business for 25 years. This was the #1 most popular MBA course in their entire MBA curriculum for 25 years. He wrote a book called Creativity in Business. He wrote another book called The Highest Goal. Fantastic guy, Michael Ray. And we're going through this teacher training. So this was, he opened up this invitation for 20 of us, consultants, coaches, speakers from all around the country, all around the world actually, to certify in teaching this Creativity in Business course to corporate and entrepreneurial clients. So he's the one that, this is his phraseology, this is his labeling of these two voices. And he calls it the voice of judgment, and what that is and what that sounds like and how it can cause a lot of damage to our businesses and to our marketing and to our bottom line and to our revenue and to our bank account. And then the other side of this is the voice of objective intelligence, and how acknowledging, it's like, oh yeah, so when you hear that voice of judgment, that little red devil on your shoulder, here are some diffusing strategies, right? You hear it, you acknowledge it, you can do a variety of things. Some people simply say, thank you for sharing, have a seat. And they just sit that little guy or gal right down and say, thank you for sharing, got it, have a seat. Others make it sound ridiculous. So strategy number 2, when you hear, oh, they're not going to have that fee, they're not going to hire me, they don't want me, they hired some big name speaker last year, start making fun of that little voice, right? Oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, they're hired some big names. Come on, that's ridiculous. So start literally making fun of it as if it was like a little 3rd grade kid, right? Mock it, joke around it, mimic its voice, give a little high, squeaky, goofy cartoon voice of some little evil person. Pick your favorite Warner Brothers cartoon character, make it sound like Yosemite Sam, make it sound like Foghorn Leghorn. Boy, son, I said, you built too low, the fast ones go over your head. Yes, Foghorn Leghorn is my spirit animal. So I will do that with my voice of judgment. You can also swear at it. Like if you love swearing, if you're like a big swearing person, and I'm not saying I'm a big swearing person, but I'm a big swearing person. You can drop the F-bomb on it. You can say, shut the heck up, whatever you want to fill that in with, and just get mad. Get angry is another strategy. Just tell it to shut the hell up and sit the hell down and leave you alone and go away, and we don't need to hear from you. So literally, that could be like a little 30-second exercise of when you hear it, consciously kind of work through that conditioning where you start to ridicule it, diminish it, mock it, diffuse its power over you. Then the second part of this is to consciously and specifically turn up the volume on your inner voice of objective intelligence. That little voice that's saying you are absolutely worth it. You charge more because you're worth more. You're worth more because you charge more, right? I'm an awesome speaker. I'm an awesome consultant. My program does radical transformation for my clients. Every audience benefits fantastically from what I've done. I've done this a dozen times, 100 times, 1,000 times before. I got this. I got nothing to worry about. I just need to go out and kick some butt and take some names and make it happen. So that is the huge mindset shift where you can start to dial down. By the way, no one gets rid of that voice of judgment. No one ever gets 100% rid of it. So you could do all kinds of personal development, take all kinds of boot camps and retreats and hypnotize yourself, and it's always going to be there. It's never gone, never gone. It's our job to dial it down to 2 or 1 or 0.5, and then take the little white angel on your other shoulder and dial that up. Get it up off the 2s, make it 5, 7, 8, 9, 9.5. Think of that as your emotional home. Your emotional home, and this is, I know it's kind of woo-woo, I'm the least woo-woo guy in the world, but I'll tell you, this totally transformed my business, it transformed my bank account, it transformed the level of awesome clients that I'm now able to work with, like you guys. When you get this right, and you stop listening to that little small potatoes, diminishing, insulting voice, that we all carry around just because we're human beings, and you start listening more to that value-laden, encouraging, factual, objective. You've done this before. You're awesome. You have amazing expertise. You're massively helpful to every client and every audience. You got this. You've done this before. You've tackled bigger fish. Let's go make this happen. I can't wait to jump out of bed. Let's go, 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 right? That's going to be a game changer in your business. It's going to be a game changer in your day-to-day life. It's going to be a game changer in everything that you do. And so I managed to do that in 12 minutes. And these poor saps in Baltimore had to listen to me for an hour, beat them over the head about, because even the things they were saying that about, well, but what if they only have $500? And I was like, oh my God, this will be a long lunch. So we just went through all this crazy stuff. And I was thinking, the reason I'm sharing this with you today as part of our rant is because, they have a little inkling of what that might be and where all the different places that it shows up. But we've been in here talking about this for weeks. And I wanted to give you not just the Band-Aid and not just the surface level, well, here's your pricing, here's your positioning. Don't worry about your one sheet because you don't have enough references. You don't worry about what if they ask, well, how many hundreds of people have you done this for before? Everyone has a first client. Everyone has a first audience. Everyone has a first time with a new talk. Everyone has a first everything. In fact, if you're doing this business right, you have more and more firsts because you're blazing new territory. You're coming out with a new speech. You're pivoting into a new niche or a new target market. You're launching a new service or a new program. There's going to be lots of firsts. If you're like, well, how many hundreds of times have you done it? You'll never launch anything. You'll never start anything. You'll never pivot into anything. You'll never grow your business. You'll never add revenue streams. Well, I've never done coaching. I had a first coaching client. You had a first coaching client. Well, I've never done a consulting gig. I had a first consulting gig. Some of you guys had a first consulting gig. You know what that followed up with? Your second consulting gig, and then your third consulting gig, and then your 15th speech, and then your 50th speech, and then your 500th, and it just keeps going and going and going and going.
Hey, buddy.
So this is really, really important as far as just. Let me get, I forgot to hit mute for everybody, but we're about to go unmute anyway, so it doesn't matter. But let me just get the, we'll do this. Someone's calling their dog, so I just love that no matter what. It's like, come here, boy, come here. Put my wallet down. Put my wallet down. Oh, there's all kinds of fun things you hear on these calls. So anyway, please keep that in mind. Keep that in mind about when you hear the voice of judgment versus when you can tune in. Rather, tune in to a different radio station that's your voice of objective intelligence. Anytime you're doing a first, think about this. Anytime you're having a sales conversation, think about this. Anytime you're about to present your fee, think about this. Imagine going to a fee conversation. This is another thing that that I say frequently, but it also came up in Baltimore. When we get to the money part of the conversation, if you talking about your fee is some catastrophe, like, oh my God, don't ask me how much it costs. Please, let's not talk money. I hate the money part of the conversation. If that to you is some big giant catastrophe, imagine how that's going to come across to them, right? It's like, hey, this is the gross part of the call. This is the yucky part of the call. I hate this even more than you do. No. I love the money part of the call because that's when they get to solve their problem. And again, I could look at this either perspective, right? Little red devil, oh, you're a greedy bastard. You're overcharging. You're charging $9,500 for an hour? What the hell's wrong with you? What makes you think you're worth that kind of money? That's still right here every day, still right here, right? Over here, it's like, dude, have you seen your testimonials? Your testimonials are amazing. Have you seen every time you speak, people mob you and say, David, that was the best presentation. Oh my gosh, that was a game changer. You changed my life. Now, when people say to me in a speaking mode, you've changed my life, I say, well, thank you for the credit. Hopefully you will take what I shared with you and you will change your own life. Because, an hour ago, you haven't had the transformation yet. I hope you take what we talked about and you implement what we talked about, and that will, in fact, change your life and change your business and change your marketing and get you better clients and higher fees and so forth. So this little guy over here, right, in the little white outfit, I'm listening to that more often than I'm listening to this. Just want to let you know, no matter how successful you get, no matter how big and how much money's in your bank account, never goes away. Never, ever goes away. Deal with it. Turn it way down. Turn voice of objective intelligence way up. And then everything becomes easier. What do I say? How do I market? How do I sell? When do I present my price? How do I present my price? Is my price a catastrophe part of the conversation? Or is my investment, right? Even different language there. Is the investment in my program exactly what they want and exactly what they need? And it's going to be of awesome service to them. It's going to be massively helpful to their team, to their audience, to their nurses, to their executives, to their association members. Is this the best money they're ever going to invest? And when people pay me, including in here, by the way, my firm belief, and we work very hard in everything that we do, in the speaking and the mentoring and all the different things that we do, that we work very hard to make that statement true. We work very hard to make that statement true. So if you've got a problem with your fee and you kind of consistently have a problem with your fee and you don't have these references of, not people references, but the factual references that you are in fact awesome and that your program is in fact fantastic, I wouldn't look at your mindset. I'd look at your program. I would look at your program. I would look at your content and say, how can I do better? How can I raise my game? How can I even add more value to every audience, every seminar, every workshop? How do I improve the client experience, improve the audience experience? So the next time I show up and I'm asking for $7,500, $9,500, $12,500, I know that this is going to be the best money they ever invest, because I'm going to make it so. I am going to make it so that this is the best money that they've ever invested. Whether that's your first time out with a new topic or a new niche or a new market, or your 100th or your 1000th. This has nothing to do, well, David's confident because he's been doing this for 15 years. Again, going back to the Stanford program, I realized that there's no time that's too soon. There's no time that's too soon to start working on this voice of judgment versus voice of objective intelligence, and that you are worthy, you are deserving, your self-worth needs to be high, your self-value needs to be high. Self-worth, by the way, the way I define the distinction between those two things, self-worth is how you feel in the shower in the morning when you're singing, you got your soap, you're doing your thing, and everyone's self-worth is pretty good. I mean, unless you have some like manic depressive, psychological disorder. In the shower, we're all awesome. It's the self-value. Self-value is how you look at yourself in terms of the market, right? Self-worth in the shower, I'm awesome. I'm the best speaker there is. I'm a fantastic coach. I'm an amazing consultant. You should see my facilitation skills. I am great. And I'm singing rock and roll. I'm singing disco. I've got the soap. I've got the bubbles. By the way, when I'm in the shower, the shampoo says lather, rinse, repeat. I no longer need to repeat. I can get all of this in the first pass. No repeating necessary. Bob's maybe in the same situation. He's shaking his head. It's like, yeah, just lather, rinse. I'm done. I'm out. I can stop singing and get out of the shower. But self-value is, here's a buyer, right? Here's a buyer now. In terms of the buyer, my self-value can go low, right? Our self-value needs to at least match our self-worth, right? And sometimes even be higher. Now, again, this is all connected because the more you listen to the voice of objective intelligence, the more references and facts you have to bring to bear on that you are worth it. Your program is awesome. You do cause massive transformation in your clients and audiences. And if you get this dialed in the right way, you will actually start to feel sorry for people who don't hire you. You really will. Not from a place of arrogance, not from a place of you being better than them or anything else. Just literally, they're missing out. They are missing out. They're missing out on your program, on your content, on the transformation that you deliver, on the value, the impact, the results, the outcomes that they could achieve with you as the catalyst and you as the teacher to help guide their path to that ultimate destination. I feel sorry. I mean, I genuinely do. And we talk to people every day, and we invite the right ones in, and sometimes we invite people in and they give in to their little red guy and say, I couldn't possibly know. Okay. And we just feel sorry for them. We literally feel sorry for the folks that do not avail themselves of help, because here's what you're doing in your business. You are going around, you are offer value, invite engagement. You're literally extending your hand and you're saying, how can I help you? How can I help your members? How can I help your company? How can I help your leaders? How can I help your caregivers? How can I help your salespeople? And I'm extending my hand in the lifeboat, and you're bobbing around in the water, and I'm inviting you into the lifeboat so that I can help you and serve you. And is it, no, I'm drowning, but I'm good. I'm drowning, thanks, appreciate the hand. And they don't buy? Don't you feel sorry for the drowning person? I mean, I kind of do. I was like, wow, really? You're not going to grab my hand. You're not going to grab my hand and get this help that you need and that you want and that your people desperately are seeking. No? All right. Wow. And I just keep rowing on the lifeboat, and I'll find the next person bobbing in the water, and it's no skin off my nose. It's just, I'm sad that they didn't buy. Not even for my sake, for their sake. For their sake, I'm literally a little bit sad every time someone says no to us. You should be a little bit sad when people say no to you. It's like, man, you're missing out. You know, Rad Watkins, are you kidding me? Len, Mark, Susan, you're not doing Susan's program? Wow, you are totally missing out. You're not hiring Cheryl? You're not bringing Kip in for your talent development? You're missing out. Now, I know this to be true about all of you. Question is, do you know it to be true? And do you believe it? And do you act on that, act from that belief, market from that belief, reach out from that belief, invite people to work with you based on that belief? Or are you stuck in the little devil, right? Not good enough, not smart enough. Who are you? Stay home, get out of here. They're not going to pay you that money. They can't afford you. Just, to go like this. Just flick it right out there. Thanks for sharing. Bam, done, out. Getting on with business, right? Getting on with business. Okay, so that's the rant. That's the rant of the day. Very, very, very important. And again, even at 22 minutes or 23 minutes or whatever that was, they got the hour version. They got the hour version at the lunch table. I just kept going. I'm not going to keep going here. And let's get to our questions. So we've got Jennifer, Christy, and Nicole. Give examples of MLB, Marketing Language Bank, headlines, bullets, and billing. So here's the deal. And we have to, Morgan, make another note. This is a confusing part of that sheet that should not be confusing. Headlines, bullets, and building blocks is simply an empty parking lot. So when you're brainstorming, right? When you're brainstorming ideas, you're brainstorming the answers to the 7 buyer persona questions, and you come up with like a great little nugget. Those nuggets, those sentence fragments, those little taglines or language bits, I want you to capture those on that page that says headlines, bullets, and building blocks. Some of them will, in fact, end up being headlines or subheadlines on your website. Some of them might say, oh, man, that'd be a great marketing bullet. That needs to go on my one sheet. That's an integral part of what I teach and what I preach and what I believe in the program that I do. A building block is just kind of a raw piece of DNA. So, for example, on my speaking side of my business, what I've heard hundreds of times is small and solo entrepreneurs say, I don't like marketing. I hate spending money on marketing. It feels like I'm throwing money into a marketing black hole. In fact, again, just at NSA in Baltimore, I sat across from a guy and he says, David, I really hate marketing. I said, okay. Because, I'm kind of like the poster child for this, for the slings and arrows. So I say, well, what do you hate about it? And he says, I've wasted over $500,000 on marketing. Now, as soon as someone says that, you're like, okay, well, who's he listening to? That's the little red devil going, yeah, marketing sucks. And every dime you spend on marketing. I said, what do you mean? Like, I'd love to know, how do you waste $500,000 on marketing? Oh, I've hired web people. I've hired graphic designers. I've hired, all kinds of, subcontractors to build videos, and none of it has worked. This is very similar to, there's a joke, which is probably not politically correct these days, but that's okay. Honky Tonk Bar, 2 a.m., Honky Tonk Bar, 2 a.m., two women sitting on bar stools at 2 a.m. at this Honky Tonk Bar. They've each had quite a few alcoholic beverages. One says to the other, you know, I've been married 10 times and I've been divorced 10 times, and men are pigs. And her friend, equally inebriated, says, wow, you've been like divorced 10 times? She goes, yeah, I've been divorced 10 times. And then the second woman says to the first woman, well, what was wrong with all of them? Right? And so what was wrong with those 10 different men? Guess what? If you're married 10 times and divorced 10 times, it's probably not the men, it's probably you. So this guy that says, oh, I've wasted $500,000 on marketing because all the web designers are con artists. All the video people are rip-off artists. All of these people are scammers. The guy that blogged for me was an idiot. The guy that did my content, the guy that ghost written my book, he was a moron. Wait a second. So you're really good at paying and hiring idiots and morons and scammers and shysters. Yeah, they just find me, or I just find them. That's not about them. That's about you. That's about you, buddy. So even this guy who had, a pretty good business, he was kind of screwy in the mindset. So how I got off on that, I have no idea. But it comes from having prospect conversations, right? So I'm sorry, let me get back into the track here. So I hear this a lot, right? Tired of throwing money into a marketing black hole. All these marketers are idiots and shysters and frauds and goofballs. So headline on my website, tired of throwing money into a marketing black hole, ? Right? So when I say this is part of my marketing language bank, it's part of my 7 buyer persona questions, right? What do they absolutely hate? Question number 6. What do they absolutely hate about people of your kind? What do they hate about leadership speakers? What do they hate about professional humorists? What do they hate about marketing people? What do they hate about caregiver consultants? What do they hate about presentation skills experts? What do they hate about consultants of any kind? They borrow your watch and they tell you what time it is. They drop off a 5-pound binder and nothing happens with that information. So I've got the worst of both, right? I've got marketing consultant. Everyone hates marketing. Everyone hates consultants. Hi, I'm both. So when I say on my website in my marketing, are you tired of throwing money into a marketing black hole? People that might know marketing but don't know about your business, blah, 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 and go down the whole path. I've got people going, oh my God, yes, I was just saying how much I hate marketing. I was just saying that every dollar we spend is throwing down a marketing black hole with the blogging and the videos and the ebooks and the tripwires and the websites and the lead pages and the blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now I've tapped into something. Where'd that come from? That came from me sitting across from a guy having breakfast. We're having bacon and eggs. This is about 10 years ago. And he's a small mid-market CEO. And he just threw his fork down. He goes, David, I just really hate marketing. And I said, okay, why? Very similar. And the words literally left his mouth. I feel like I'm throwing money into a marketing black hole. That's what he said. Luckily, I had my pen and a piece of paper, and I wrote that down. I was like, wow, that's good. And I've heard that dozens and dozens and now hundreds of times since then. So that became part of my marketing language bank. That became a headline on my website, right? So that's where to capture all of those kinds of nuggets. As you're talking to people, as you're brainstorming, as you're answering the 7 buyer persona questions, as you're going through your pain gain factors, you're going to be generating these little sound snippets and these phrases and these sound bites like, wow, that's a really great one. That one might be a bullet on my one sheet. That one might come up in a sales conversation. That one might be a headline or a subhead on the website. So it's just a parking lot to capture the best of those ideas as you're processing through the rest of the work. All right, and then I think there was a second part to Jennifer's question. For buyer persona questions 3 and 4, does it work to interview using these questions for a new target market? Yes, yes, and heck yes. That is a fantastic way to start to have conversations with people and really kind of feel out what are they up against, what's the exact language that they're using. And again, this breakfast with the bacon and eggs, this was totally an asking for air conversation that I had 10 years ago. And he was my perfect target market. I wasn't going to sell him anything. I said, hey, can I buy you some bacon and eggs? And I'd love to talk to you about how you think about. He had like a 10-person small IT consulting company in Delaware. Perfect guy for me, right? Small professional services. And we met through networking through a common friend. And I said, hey, can I buy you breakfast one day? Yeah, sure. We went to Hank's Diner. Hank's Diner was the place. The bacon and eggs were actually pretty good. But I remember this very specifically because it was like an aha moment in my business. I was like, oh my God, I would have never, sitting in my office, typing away, right? I would have never come up with tired of throwing money into a marketing black hole. It's like, wait, people don't like marketing? Wait, people hate folks that look like me and sound like me? Yeah, they do. They really do. Sorry. So what are they afraid of? What do they wish would happen instead? Who's the answer to their dream? Who's the dream solution to their biggest, most urgent problem? Well, they want marketing that works. They want marketing that understands their business. They want marketing. And again, so now I've got the positive, right? The pain, gain, flip. So it's like, oh man, I'm throwing money in a marketing black hole. That's the negative, right? How do I flip that into a positive, right? And so now I'm doing my pain, gain flips. And again, all of this feeds into everything that you say and everything that you do. The good news is I did this. I was kind of crazy and screwy and mixed up for the first 3-4 years of my business. And then around 2006, 2007, 2008, when I was having these breakfasts and lunches and coffees and really putting my finger on the pulse of what people wanted and needed, that's when my business started to take off. So, you can sit in your office and go, well, I think it's this. I hope it's that. I hope this sounds appealing to somebody. Or you can market test it. And as Jennifer says, talk to people, reach out to people, LinkedIn, Facebook, email, breakfast, lunch, coffee meetings, whatever it is. The more people in your prospect base that you talk to, the more opportunities you will surface. And even if it's not an opportunity, it's an opportunity to sharpen your language. It's an opportunity to sharpen your positioning. It's an opportunity to maybe shift what you've been saying and doing 5 or 10 or 15% so that now you're exactly in the crosshairs of exactly what they want and exactly where they may already be spending money, but they didn't think of you necessarily as, oh, well, that's what Bob does. That's what Len does. That's what Karen does. That's what Wendy does. Well, it is now because you've modified your talk track by maybe 10 or 15% so that you are really honing in on it and you are triangulating, right? You're triangulating on exactly where it hurts and exactly what they want to fix and exactly how you are uniquely qualified to fix it for them and with them. So it's a fantastic way to have asking for air conversations. All right, Christy is up next. Talk to me about because there's some foundational misconceptions perhaps in your question here, but talk me through what your question is about. Is Christy on with us? There you are.
Oh, sorry. Here I am.
Yeah.
So there might be some misconceptions. So I think when I've heard you talk, sometimes it sounds like there's different pricing. And when I say different pricing, it depends on, you might lower the price, but give them X, Y, Z because, like the open bar thing that you did, maybe only charged them $6,000 when your fee is $7,000, but you did these discounts or whatever. Or you might charge $5,000 because maybe there's potential for more business because decision makers are in the room, et cetera, et cetera. So I only bring this up because in my coaching business, I have a client who's grandfathered into my one-on-one program, and I'm not doing that anymore. And I told her that. Well, I appreciated the referral she gave to a friend, and I did a call with her, and she asked me about price, and I don't do that anymore. Of course, my pricing is way different and higher. She's like, well, that's not what I heard. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but that's not what I do anymore. So it wasn't like a huge fight or a riff or anything like that, but I'm wondering, will I have the same kind of issue with my speaking business? I don't know.
Yes and no.
Okay.
How's that? So
Okay.
so I mean, unless you're charging the same thing that you were charging, in 2003 or 2011, or pick a date and time, our businesses are always moving up scale. So I'm not sure that necessarily you would want to diffuse or redirect that conversation around, that's not what I heard. But what I would go to is, well, it really depends on who you talk to, and it also depends on when they hired me, right? So I believe in having a pricing system, not having a price. So the pricing system has those variations and those negotiable items in it, right? And we talk about sending the invoice, where it's always a full fee invoice, and then in consideration of the open bar discount or buying books or whatever it is, as long as you're getting in the ballpark. Now, again, $8,000, $1,000, that's not in the ballpark. Like, that's a radically different, like, okay, that's not what I heard. But if you're somewhere in that system, right, here's I think the best way to look at this, just ethically from a place of integrity, so you're clear on why you're doing what you're doing. If you can explain the price difference from client A to client B in 30 seconds or less, that is fine. Well, that's because they bought 500 books. Would you like to buy 500 books? I'll offer you the same deal right now. Well, that's because they booked 3 programs in advance. Would you like to book 3 programs in advance right now? Well, that's because they added a 90-day coaching component to the speech. Would you like to add a 90-day coaching component to the speech? Well, that's because they gave me a 3-camera HD video shoot with a full editing suite and final say on the master copy of the video. Would you like to do a 3-camera HD video shoot with full editing suite and final say on the master copy of the video? So, I'm not playing games with my fee. I'm not recommending you play games with your fee. I'm saying different people pay different fees based on what they give you in terms of both cash and non-cash compensation. At the end of the day, every invoice needs to have that same bottom line number, right? So if you're at $7,500, it's $7,500 minus this, minus this, minus this. That's the number, right? So standard keynote fee, standard seminar fee, standard training fee, right? So now if they're really being honest in their little backroom kind of chat, in their little sidebar, they say, well, Bob's standard fee is $7,500. We were able to work with him and lower that because there were some other parts of our program together, right? Karen's standard fee is, right, I know that Karen normally charges because that's what they see on the first line of every single invoice. Now, if one person's bottom line ends up being 0 and someone else's bottom line ends up being $4,500 and someone else's bottom line ends up being $7,500, that's okay because you can explain it with those couple of line items, right? I got the registration list. I got a free trade show booth. I got a column in their magazine, and I got a full page spread in the program book. Okay, do you want to give me those things? Because then you'll pay the same price, right? What you never want to have happen is someone getting the same program and the same considerations and a different bottom line price. So that's where things start to get wonky. It's like, hey, one day I'm $500, the next day I'm $5,000, the next day I'm $2,000, the next day I'm $10,000. That's when we start to lose the anchor, right? We start to lose the anchor about who we are and what we charge and why we charge it. But I think that's the key piece of having a fee system, is that based on the budget and based on the non-cash compensation, I'm happy to lower the cash component if you increase the non-cash component. If I already have 8 hours of 3-camera HD video footage, I probably don't want a 9th hour, and I probably wouldn't even offer that. It's like, oh, we'll do a video for you. Well, today I don't need a video. By the way, today I do need some fresh video, but that's just me. But if I had 8 hours of backlogged video, that would be off the table. And I would no longer offer that. I don't need that. I need more $9,500 gigs. You need more 95, 75, 12, 5, 15K gigs, whatever it is that you're going out for. So does that answer it as far as the integrity question and the transparency question?
Yeah, no, that totally does, because I do want to keep my fees the same. I mean, I don't believe in varying just because of this or that, but I do understand the fact of, okay, well, if you can't afford this fee, these are the things that I'm going to throw in, or these are the things that we're going to work out. And then putting on the invoice, striking through so people understand, look, this is the normal price and this is the little stuff that we worked out personally. So,
Right.
okay. I just wanted to make sure. I mean, that's kind of what I thought, but, you know, I just didn't know if there was some other opinions or thoughts that you had on the subject. So
Right.
that makes sense.
Well, and let me tell you a story. And again, this ties back to the mindset and the fee and the pricing and so forth. So this is, gosh, this is many, many moons ago, 2005 or 6 or many moons ago. I did a program for the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Like, I was just a private in-house program for their membership and visitor services group. And it was about marketing. And two of the people, and it was a full fee thing. So at that point, my fee was like $4,500 for a day. So I went in and did a program for $4,500. Two of those people sat on the board of the American Museum Membership Managers Conference that was happening in Santa Fe. And they said, oh, David, we'd love you to do a version of this program in Santa Fe this summer. And I said, well, great. You know, we can do it, you know, kind of same parameters as we did here in Philadelphia. That's all good. They said, well, you know, not sure if we have the budget. I said, now, wait a second. Your museum, your single standalone nonprofit art museum here in Philadelphia, you guys have $4,500. You're telling me that this national association who's doing this big event in Santa Fe, New Mexico at the El Dorado Resort right downtown in the center of the town, they don't have $45,000. Well, yeah, you know, let's check. So they introduced me to the programs chair. We have a nice conversation. And they say, yeah, David, you know, we really don't have a budget. We really can't pay you. And I just, you know, as soon as someone says that, the phone goes real quiet on my end. It sounds like this. I'm really good at this, by the way, because the first one that talks loses, right? And they go, but we could, right? Because that's what they come back with, right? I'm just listening. I'm going, but we're staying at this awesome, amazing El Dorado Resort right downtown, right in the middle of Santa Fe. You know, we'll throw in a couple extra nights. Bring your wife. We'll pay the second airfare. You'll have an awesome vacation. Don't really need an awesome vacation at this point. I'm like, I listened very nicely, very patiently. And then I said a more diplomatic version of the following. If you don't have $4,500, you also don't have me as a speaker. So I totally get it. I'm looking forward to serving your group. I can't wait to be with you in Santa Fe. Just one piece of bad news, that the folks in Philadelphia, and here's where you bring up your ethics and integrity, by the way, right? The folks that introduced me to your conference, they just had me in Philadelphia for a program very similar to the one we're talking about. They invested $4,500. I really can't see doing a very similar program for you for any less than that. So if you don't have a $4,500 budget, I don't think I can be your speaker. And we ended the phone call, very nice, very cordial, and so forth. Phone rings a week later. Hi, David. Yeah, we found the money. I said, you found what money? We found the $4,500. We have like an education fund, and we're talking, and we'd hate not to have you come and do our program. So it's in Santa Fe. We're still happy to add on the couple extra nights at the hotel. Would you be willing to come for $4,500? Surprisingly, I was willing to come for $4,500. Now, here's the kicker on this story. You'd think, well, that's the punchline. That's not even the punchline. The punchline is, I put this in the training, but you guys might remember the story. A few days after that, we signed the agreement. So I'll send the agreement. We'll do the 50% deposit. Great. So they get the invoice. I get a call from Little Susie Cream Cheese. Little Susie Cream Cheese works in the office at the American Museum Membership Managers Conference. David, I'm so sorry. You know, Steve and Brenda, when they were talking to you, we forgot to ask, do you have a nonprofit rate? Now, at this point, this deal to me is signed, sealed, delivered. We're done. It's $4,500. It's in my calendar. I've booked the airfare. This is happening. Do I have a nonprofit rate? Luckily, I was thinking fast on my feet that day. And I said, Little Susie Cream Cheese, That is my nonprofit rate. That is my nonprofit rate. Oh, okay. I just had to check. David. Thank you so much. We can't wait to see you in Santa Fe. I didn't need to tell her that my nonprofit rate is the same as my for-profit rate, is the same as my rate on Tuesday, my rate on Friday, my rate on Saturday, my rate in California, Hawaii, France. What my rate is my rate. Nonprofit, I don't care. You're wearing a blue shirt, you're wearing a green shirt. It's $4,500, dude. So this comes from, I am not willing to play that game anymore, right? These guys paid me $4,500. Oh, how about a nice vacation? How about no? How about $4,500? Okay, we can do $4,500. Oh, do you have a nonprofit rate? I do, and you're getting my nonprofit rate because my nonprofit rate is the same as my for-profit rate, and it's the same as my rate on Monday and Friday and Wednesday and Sunday. So you got to have standards and conditions in your business. If if you're playing the how low can we go kind of limbo game, I'll do anything, anyone, anywhere, and oh, a free vacation. Yeah, I love Santa Fe. I've never been to New Mexico. I'd love a free vacation. Yes, please abuse my professional standards, and please insult me professionally so I can come to your meeting and stand up and be the thought leader that your folks need to admire because I have no self-respect for my own value and my own professionalism and so forth. Now, what's the problem, by the way, of a lot of these museum membership managers and visitor services people? They also think that their members and visitors are doing them a favor, and that investing in the museum, becoming a patron, serving on the board, getting a gift membership for someone else, that's doing them a favor. It's a nice to have, not a have to have. Imagine if I come in as the marketing guy and I also have a mindset where I'm a nice to have, I'm lucky to be invited. Gosh, I can't wait to see the nice hotel. I hope they have fluffy robes, and I don't need to get paid because I'm an optional part of their meeting. Hell no. Hell no, people. I want you to make a sign. Make a sign in your office right now. Put it up where you can see it. My house, my rules. It's my house, my rules with your fee. It's my house, my rules with your speaking agreement. It's my house, my rules with when you get paid, what you get paid, and if you get paid. My house, my rules. It's not dependent on their budget. It's not dependent on if they want to give you and your spouse a lovely vacation in Hawaii or Santa Fe or Boston or San Diego. It's none of those things. This is a professional relationship where you've got boundaries and conditions in your business, and you are the first and only one that needs to respect those boundaries and conditions in your business. And if you don't, they sure as hell won't. They sure as hell won't. Why would they? How can they if you don't have them? My house, my rules. Len is already in. Len is already in on this. So absolutely, right? You want to get your ideal clients at your ideal fee, doing the programs where you own the mountaintop, where you're the rock star, and they do business on your terms, not theirs. That's not about being arrogant or pushy or demanding. That's about having a peer-to-peer trusted advisor sales relationship from initial contact all the way through to signed contract. And you need to maintain that stance, maintain that posture. You need to be firm and clear at every step of the sales process of what's the next step look like. Put that step on their calendar, negotiate the fee fairly based on value, not based on limitations of their budget or limitations of your mindset. Here's why speaker fees go down. Now you got me hot and bothered, people. Now you got me hot and bothered.
Oh, sorry.
Go down. That's okay. Speaker fees go down, right, because of lack of budget on their end, right, and lack of firm boundaries and conditions on your end. So if you start serving broke people, and I mean broke associations and companies too, you will go broke with them. If you start to descend, right, and all we have is $500, all we have is $1,200, okay, there's two parts to that crime. The first part of that crime is them undervaluing what you do, and the second part of that crime is you being a willing participant and you violating your own boundaries and conditions of doing business. So if your put your pants on number is 4,500 and you'd like to get 55 or 6,500, that is your fee system that you put in place. I will never leave my house, even to literally go down the street now. I will never leave my house for less than $5,500. Nationally, it's $9,500, right? And sometimes I get my national rate in my backyard, and that's great. If they negotiate, if I see a good reason, if there's some condition, if my conditions, right, my boundaries, my standards, if it's win-win across the board, I'm happy to work within that fee system, right? So sleeping in my own bed has economic value to me. It really does. Not having to take my shoes off and do the TSA body cavity search, that also has economic value to me. Not taking my shoes off, not getting crammed into an airplane, even if it's in first class, it doesn't matter, right? I like staying home. I like kissing the dog. I like drinking my own coffee. I'm a coffee snob. I hate hotel coffee, and I don't sleep well the first night in hotels. If I'm gone for 2 or 3 nights, second night, third night, I sleep like a baby. I don't want that first night in the hotel tossing and turning and right? So am I willing to go down here and do a program for $5,500 when someone else paid me to go to California for $9,500? Yes. When the California client says, well, how come they paid less? Because they were in my backyard and I slept in my bed the night before, the night after. I drank good coffee both that morning and that night. The coffee at lunch kind of sucked, but that's okay. The next time you have a meeting in Philadelphia, let me know, and I'd be happy to give you my backyard rate. That's my backyard rate, right? If you're in my backyard, and again, I don't even offer that. If they push, it's $9,500 morning, noon, and night. It's $9,500 rain or shine, happy or sad, feel like it or not. When they push back, and when I want to flex, not break, but flex my pricing system to accommodate, right? I will flex it. I will never break it. I will never break it. And I've turned business down. I even turned, 10 years ago, I turned down the Santa Fe thing when they didn't have the money. And I turned it back into a yes when they did have the money. Okay. So now I'm schlepping across the country for $4,500. I'm not leaving my house now for less than $5,500. I'm just not. Why would I? That's my condition. That's my boundary. That's my rule, my house, my rules. So what's your house, your rules? What are you willing to do? Where are you willing to go? What's your bracketing structure, right? What has economic value to you? If you need a 3-camera HD video shoot, well, let's get as many of those as possible. Are you willing to give up a couple $1,000s of fee to get the video? Sure, right? You guys want to make me a video? I'll do the same thing for you. The only violation of your fee integrity is if you do the exact same thing for 2 exact same clients, they do the exact same things for exact same you, and you've charged them a different number. If it's value for value, fee for fee, non-financial compensation for non-financial compensation, that should always net out to be the same exact number. Same exact number. It should never vary. Well, they gave me a video and I charged them $4,500, and they gave me a video, I only charged them $3,500. No, right? So it needs to be not incongruent, meaning congruent. It needs to be congruent pricing. Congruent pricing for you so you can sleep at night, and congruent pricing for them so this never comes back to bite you in the butt like you said it almost did. All right. So, and
yeah,
Karen agrees she's also been bitten in the butt by the same syndrome. Christy, what else?
No, that makes sense, because the only reason it bit me in the butt is because that coaching client was grandfathered in and I wasn't doing one-on-ones anymore. And of course, my group coaching price is different than my one-on-one.
Yeah.
So she came to me thinking she was going to get one-on-one. And I'm like, no, I haven't done that in a while, sorry. But like I said, I mean, it was rectified and we're fine, and it's not like it caused any issues. But I'm glad that you brought up the story about Santa Fe, because I'm of the same mindset of I don't do the whole let me price you this way and price you that way because you're a big company and you're not, and all that kind of thing. So I'm glad that you kind of brought up that reference, because yeah, I want to keep integrity is a big thing with me. So I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing and professionally that people expect. So I'm glad that you brought that up. That was really helpful.
Final clarifying question for you, Christy. Did your grandfathered client know that she was grandfathered in and that other people are paying a lot more?
Well, and that was the thing. I even told her about 6 months prior to this other person coming to me. I said, hey, guess what? I'm changing my program. I'm just letting you know you're my last one-on-one. I'm going to a group format. The group format is X price, blah, blah, blah. I can put you in here and you're going to get a higher level of success than what you're doing right now. And she was like, well, I don't want to do that right now. I'm not feeling it. And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, you're going to be behind the ball. I'm just saying this program is way more above what we've been doing, what I'm offering. And unfortunately, that was not conveyed to the potential prospect. And she was like, oh yeah, that price, that's not at all what I was expecting. And I'm like, well, I apologize, but I had to stick to my guns because I'm not going back to a one-on-one.
Sure.
And I'm not charging that low anymore ever.
Yeah. So let me tell you another success story. Someone came through our program last year. They were speaking and they had a coaching program. They were in the insurance niche, and they were coaching people one-on-one for $500 a month. $500 a month, and just killing themselves, exhausting himself.
Oh my gosh.
Just killing himself. God. He had like 10, 12, 15 clients. And I said, okay, here's the deal. You can keep doing one-on-one. And here's how it's going to work. It is a 90-day program, and it is $7,500. Now, if you're smart, you would do, Christy, what you're doing, what I'm doing, which is have some hybrid kind of program with some group work, some one-on-one, some other stuff, right? Some other support systems, etc. But I said, let's not even go there for you. I said, let's just take your one-on-one that you're selling now every single day. Stop saying $500 a month and start saying $7,500 for 90 days. He practically thought of his chair. He said, oh, they're never going to pay. It's never going to work. I have a hard time getting $500. I let him, I let that run its course. And I said, listen, the next 5 people you talk to, just humor me. Say no to the $500 a month and just have a different number leave your mouth. He talked to 5 people. Guess how many $7,500 checks he got that first week?
Probably more than half.
3. Exactly right. He got 3.
Okay.
Nobody could believe this less than him. He's like, oh my God, it worked. I said, okay, well, tell me about how those sales conversations went. They bought even faster than when it was $500. And these guys are going to be awesome, amazing, incredible clients. And they're going to be, so again, literally in 1 week, this guy's making $22,500. He's getting better clients. He's making sales faster, less arm twisting, beating, convincing, persuading, right? He was having an out-of-body experience. He was literally like, ha, ha, ha. It blew the reality roof off of what he thought was possible. And he never turned back. Luckily, thank God, a lot of people would experience that and go, I'm going back to $500 a month because that's more comfortable. Never turned back. And he just continues to make $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 a month. Now, finally, after this was last fall sometime, September, October. Anyway, now he's starting to do a group program. And his group program also is going to be 7,500, 90 days, very similar to what we're doing here, which, by the way, all of you guys could be doing this, what we're doing in here, and some of you maybe should be and could think about it, and we can talk about it, and I'm happy to share all the little tips and secrets that we use in here. But now he says, he's about to have his mind blown again. Imagine if this scales. Right, because he can only have like 5, 6, 7 one-on-one clients. 2 or 3 come in each month. The ones that came in 3 months ago graduate because he had this 90-day program. I said, well, what if you worked with 10 people, 20 people, 30 people a month in your insurance sales training thing that he's doing? He's like, oh my God, that's like $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 business. I said, yeah, it is. So why don't you get busy on that? And then, so now he's speaking, and he's turning off some of his one-on-one folks, or he's enrolling them into the group format. But here's what happened. The reason I'm blithering about all of this he had some $500 a month guys refer him during the time that he was transitioning to the $7,500 3-month program. So basically, he went from $1,500 for 3 months. That was the old $500 a month thing, right? He 5 times his price. So 5 times 1,500, by the way, is 7,500. He had a referral from a $500 guy. He had a referral from a couple of $500 guys. One or two said, oh, no, I was expecting it to be much less because, you know, Jimmy over here is paying $500. I'd say, okay, I get it. Now, understand you're getting a much different program than Jimmy's getting because 1, 2, 3, 4, and he was kind of listing how the program has been improved and upgraded and turbocharged and so forth. So 2 or 3 of those referrals he did not get. What amazed him even more is the 1 or 2 referrals that he did get. So he's always prospecting. He's always doing lead generation. So the new people had no idea that the other folks were paying $7,500. The fact that he could convert a couple of these referrals from his $500 a month people into $7,500 90-day people, that really blew his mind. And I said, dude, basically there's nothing in this business model, in his case, that's not possible for you. I said, can you get referrals from 500 and bring them into 7,500? Yes. Can you talk to a stone cold stranger about the value, the impact, the results, and the outcomes and get them to say, yeah, his name is Barry. Yes, Barry, I want to work with you for 7,500. Just, you're a stone cold stranger, and an hour later, they're giving you $7,500 to help change their insurance practice. So every level of this, he had to bust through the self-limiting beliefs. He had to bust through the voice of judgment. He had to listen very closely to the voice of objective intelligence. He had to shift what was possible and what people are willing to pay and what people are able to pay and how much his program is really worth. And when he made those shifts, these obstacles just started to fall one after the other, like dominoes. So, and I've seen this over and over again. You know, it doesn't matter if it's coaching, consulting, speaking, training, online course. So I had a guy, last quick example. He had this fabulous LinkedIn course. And he was selling it for $97 for the whole course. $97 all in. And I'm having a real hard time selling it. I was like, yeah, I imagine you would. I said, tell you what, raise it to $597. What? Trust me, raise it to $597. More people will buy your course. More people will get the benefit of your expertise. You will sell this further and faster at $597 than you have at $97. At $97, people are saying, well, what's wrong with the course? Why is it so cheap? Is this like a mini course? Is this some little knockoff thing that he put together over a weekend? Is this some piece of crap course for $97? I don't know about spending $97. He changed nothing on the sales page, nothing in the emails. He just put a 5 in front of the 97. So he basically 6x'd his price. This thing started selling like crazy. Every webinar he was on, every podcast he was a guest of, every email that he sent out, he would sell 0 courses after an email blast at $97. Now he's selling like 6, 7, 8 programs. 6 times $597 is a $3,600 day for sending an email. I'd like to make $3,600 after sending an email. I think maybe you guys would too. It's all about that perception that's around the pricing. So this could not be a more important topic in any of your distribution modes. Online course, speaking, seminars, training, coaching, consulting, facilitation, membership, website, whatever it is you want to build. The premium pricing has a built-in halo effect of quality, value, smarts. This must be effective. This must be worth it. You must be getting paid this money because, of course, you wouldn't have a price that, well, no one pays that price. Sure they do. A lot of people pay that price, and you should too. So that's what you're conveying when you have a healthy, reasonable, mid to upper level pricing. Not necessarily in here, but when I teach about coaching or when I teach about some of these other things, I always tell people you should be in the top 20% of all, price-wise. You should be in the top 20% of all your available options. So they can go to this guy, they can buy this from him, they can buy this from her. Mark probably has some feedback on this as our pricing guru. But in the trusted advisor professional services space, my mantra, my philosophy is that your product, your program, given the competing alternatives, right? That's why we do our competitive scan. It should be in the top 20% of that level of the game that you're playing, right? So it's not like, oh, I should start charging what Tony Robbins charges. No, he's in a different league, right? So we don't have the NFL play the college football, play the high school football, play the little league peewee football. Within your league, you should always be in the top 20% price-wise, because that's what carries with it quality, reliability, intelligence, smarts. There's an element of social proof in your pricing that other people must pay it. That's why they charge it. Like, who in the world would pay a speaker $9,500? Lots of people would pay a speaker $9,500 if you're playing in the right league, if you're having the right kind of sales conversation. So that's the whole rant about that. Whew.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for your help on that.
You're welcome. I know I probably answered your question 20 minutes ago, but the other 19 minutes were for everybody else.
Oh, that's good. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So Nicole says, my business is speaking only. I know it needs to be speaking, and I'm game for expansion. 2 essential documents are still in here. Okay, so what's wrong with speaking only? Let's just kind of just check that assumption real quick, or talk to me about why you feel pushed into doing other things beyond speaking.
Okay. May I also say that there's something missing in my question there. It should have been, it's currently speaking only, and I know it needs to be speaking plus, because we talked about.
I saw that in the first time that we popped it in, yes. So well, but I mean, by the way, nothing has to be in here at all, right? So you get to decide, starting in module 1, what would you like your business model and service model and revenue model to be? It doesn't have to be anything beyond what you want to create. So do you want to create coaching, consulting, facilitation, training, blah, 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 blah? Or do you not want to create that? So don't feel.
At some point I envision that. But right now, I just feel like because I've changed my topic and narrowed it down, I need to focus on the speaking component and targeting more of a corporate client.
Okay. So I would do in your case, and again, just knowing a little bit about your kind of backstory and situation, I would focus on maybe a speaking component, and then a longer format might be a seminar component. Right? So you want Nicole for an hour, you want Nicole for a day, there's going to be some variation in there. So speaking is going to be a speaking format, speaking distribution channel, and then the seminar is going to be more of a kind of training or a workshop, or kind of roll up your sleeves, let's really work on this type of format. If you want to do coaching, if you feel called to do one-on-one mentoring, one-on-one consulting, coaching, call it what you will, that's cool. But I think that's, if that's outside your wheelhouse, then, I wouldn't do it. All of this, both your content and your delivery mechanisms, I would say you need to be owning that mountaintop, right? You need to be owning that mountaintop. So if I'm not a great keynoter, which I've mentioned several times, I'm not going to pursue a whole bunch of keynote work, because that's not where I want to play, right? That's not the format where I'm a rock star. I'm a rock star in like 2 hours to 2 days as a speaker. So you give me 2 hours, I'll blow the roof off. You give me 45 minutes or an hour, it's like, yeah, he was okay. Who's next in the program? Oh, good, Karen Buxman. Good, that'll be at least good. I didn't waste my whole morning. So, it's just, it's not my strength. So I don't want you to go into coaching or consulting just because you say, oh yeah, that would be good. And you're a so-so coach and a terrible consultant. So yeah, don't feel any kind of weird pressure to go outside of your capabilities. It's okay to go outside your comfort zone, but don't go outside your capability. Oh, I've never coached anybody. I guess I should be a coach. No. I mean, I did a ton of coaching and training as part of my corporate job. And so when I went out on my own, it's like, what are the 2 things I can do? I can train and I can coach. Could I market? No. Could I sell? No. Could I figure out what I should be charging? No. None of that business stuff. But man, could I coach and could I train? So at least I had that in my toolkit, that when the first chapter of my business, as rocky and goofy as it was, I knew it was a training and coaching business. Those were the two distribution methods. I didn't keynote. I didn't consult. I didn't do anything online. I didn't do any of that stuff. So think about a progression of how you want this to unfold. You know, I think we all have this entrepreneurial ADD, the attention deficit disorder, where the entrepreneurial timeline is, I want to do this, 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 and this. That's the ADD part. The entrepreneurial timeline is now, 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 and now. I want all of these things right now. Right now, I want all these things to happen. And I suffered from that, and that's what pulled me in 5 different directions. And it's tough to move 5 boulders uphill at once. So I would move the speaking boulder, and I would move the training boulder, and then let those other ones come to you.
Right. Okay. And I will say that it was very helpful to hear that we only needed 2 essential documents.
Yes.
Because I was feeling very overwhelmed and behind. How do I get the 4 arrows done and blah, blah, blah. So I have my one sheet as well as my reasons to hire. I have them in draft form, but I know that the next thing I need to work on is what I'm doing on LinkedIn as well as my website, because my website doesn't reflect the changes that I've made in terms of my speaking focus. And I don't want that to be, I don't want a meeting planner to go to my website and kind of be turned off because it doesn't look like the documents that I've sent.
Yes, exactly right. So you do want to have your ducks in a row. And again, it's funny. A lot of people, this is a great tip that you're bringing up here, Nicole. So I'm glad that you mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I think, is a fabulous test bed for this new marketing language. First of all, you can change it in a heartbeat anytime you want, right? You can show it to a couple of trusted advisors, a couple of friends, a couple of friendly clients, past clients, people in your prospect base. You can say, hey, I just reworked my LinkedIn. Don't ask them what they like. Ask them what parts of it do you find especially effective, and knowing the work that we've done in the past, if it's a past client specifically, knowing the work that we've done in the past, do you feel it reflects the full value of what I've done with your group, with your company, with your team? You know, is there anything you'd add, anything that you feel is missing, anything I forgot to put in? And then, you know, you're not sending a one sheet, you're not sending documents. It's not weird. Say, hey, have a quick look at my LinkedIn. And you send them the link, they click on it, they go, oh yeah, well, don't forget, you're also a great facilitator. And don't forget, we really valued when you came in and talked about blah, 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 right? And then you can start to shape that the way you want to shape it. And then so the 2 places on LinkedIn that you want to look at as this test bed, one is your professional summary, which is kind of your overall kind of macro, here's who I am, here's what I do, and then your latest position. So your latest position is kind of your current, right, 2013 to 2018, whatever, you know, CEO of, you know, Inspired by Nicole, etc. So those 2 areas, one being your summary of kind of the overall background of who you are and what you do, and then your current job position. I think you get 2,000 characters, not 2,000 words, 2,000 characters in your professional summary. So that almost forces you to be 1 sheet short. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? Concise, fewer words. You can't go on and blah, blah, blah. You can't bloviate up there because it'll cut you off. It'll say, you're out of characters. So 2,000 characters there. I think it's a 4,000 character limit on each job position. Don't hold me to that. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't looked recently. And LinkedIn is always changing stuff by the day. It really pisses me off. But that is a very concise, very constrained, very controlled area where you can start to test some of this new messaging. I'll tell you, when I first started to kind of pivot and get my head out of my rear end, 2007, 2008, the first thing I did, I worked really hard on my LinkedIn, because for 6 years prior to that, I'm looking at my LinkedIn, I was never happy with it. And I was never happy. I was like, yeah, that's not really what I do. Yeah, that's what I like to say, but that's not really who I like to work with. Yeah, that's what sounds good, but that's not what I do. And it was like, why do I have this psychotic split? Why don't I go in there and spend a couple afternoons just banging away, right? What do I do? Who do I do it for? Who's my awesome ideal client? Why am I being shy about this? And I just went, that sound effect actually happened. I went, I polished up the LinkedIn, did a couple revisions of that, showed it to a couple of people. They said, wow, that's really good. And then, of course, a couple of the brighter light bulbs said, why isn't that on your website? in 2007, 2008. I was like, well, it's going to be now. It's going to be now. And then I picked it up from LinkedIn. I dropped it on the website. I'll tell you exactly where it went. So the stuff on the summary page ended up on the services page. The stuff on my current role, right, as the founder and author of Do It Marketing, blah, 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 that went on, part of that went on the About David page or my bio, right? And since then, I've sort of changed things and tweaked things. Now we all have funny bios and there's a little bit of humor in there. But it was massively helpful in just crystallizing and clarifying. If you were looking at your website, it's like, what do I say on the website? It says massive, empty, white space. You're like, that's really daunting. Let me go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is nice because it's finite. It is clear. It is concise. You can change it right away. Hit save, hit refresh, look at it and go, that's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I want to be known for. That's awesome. Now, great. I polish that up, pick it up, drop it on the home page, pick it up, drop it on the About page, pick up this, drop it on the services page, wherever you want to put it. But now it's crystal clear and it's concise and it's sharp and it's awesome. So totally start with LinkedIn and that'll shortcut your whole writing process because it is so concise and so constrained.
Yay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Jennifer's question is, with adding coaching, how should the topic relate to your speaking topics? Does it work to spin off the topic as long as it's related to basic steps to coaching? Talk more about that, Jennifer. What do you have in mind as kind of the 1-2 punch between your speaking topic and your coaching topic?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Good, because I have a headset on this time and I wasn't exactly sure how to unmute. So I like these conversations because they always have me generating thoughts and then I start writing my ideas. What my expertise is really in finance, and I'm in the healthcare space, but it's not the thing that I necessarily want to do. But I'm thinking that with coaching, there might be an opportunity to teach people basics about finance. In working with providers, they don't have finance staff if they're a small doctor's office. So the business manager, who does not have a background in finance, is now responsible for it. And my topic is about higher level finance concepts, but they don't have the basic building blocks. So I'm wondering whether or not a coaching program that talks about the basic building blocks, which I would not want to talk about, it's kind of boring, would work to get people up to speed to build to that higher level, which is my speaking topic. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, okay. So it's the same target audience though. So you ideally, if you get a really great paid speaking gig, the people in that audience would be an ideal target market for the follow-up coaching as well, or no?
They would, because they may not know how to implement the concepts. And so the coaching could potentially build their skill set to be able to do even more than just that one topic, but to have a better, well-rounded view of how to manage a business. Because that's what I'm finding is like doctors don't really think that they're a business.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes. And that's really the litmus test. That if I were in front of my ideal speaking audience, right? So now there's kind of two sets of buyers. There's the buyer for the speaking, right? The meeting planner, the conference producer, the association executive, the corporate executive that's going to hire you to come in and speak. Then there's the audience that they put you in front of. If that audience typically in the niche and in the target market that you're working in, if that audience is typically in need of additional training, additional coaching, additional work, right? In other words, you're talking to them about the problem. And you're raising the flags and you're sharing practices and principles and ideas on a high level strategic. That's all we can ever do in a speech. We can't really solve a problem with a speech. We can point out the problems, the heartaches, the gaps, the best practices, what you should be doing, what you should avoid doing, etc. Right? We talk about this in the webinar about, depending on what webinar you've seen, but I talk about in almost all my webinars, about the golden triangle. Right? There's 3 legs to the stool. There's 3 legs in the golden triangle. One is speaking. And we're speaking, no matter how great of a speaker you are, all that's ever going to do is build awareness. Now they know they have a problem. And now they know they need Jennifer. Second leg of the stool is training, right? Training is where skills transfer happens. So before the training, like the doctor's office, they're not really capable, they're not really competent in this area, right? After the training, they are capable and they are competent, and some skills have been transferred to them after the training. And then the third leg of the golden triangle is coaching and consulting, which is a sustained intervention over time. And that's where you get to turn the battleship, right? So you got a big nuclear powered battleship. The captain's on the bridge. He or she turns the wheel. These gigantic nuclear engines kick in. The rudders start to turn. And this, 500 megaton battleship actually starts to turn in the water and make that 90-degree change in course. Now, that doesn't happen quick. That's not after a speech. That's not after a training class. That is after a lot of sustained energy over a period of time. That's where coaching and consulting and these longer-term engagements come into play. That's where behavior change happens. That's where culture change starts to happen, is when you're turning the battleship. And the third leg of the stool that causes that to happen is going to be a consulting or a coaching type of arrangement. So between those three legs of the golden triangle, speaking for awareness, training for skills transfer, and then coaching or consulting for long-term behavior change, those three things can all be in your toolkit. If those folks are in your audience, it's a perfect fit. And, we always, it's boring to you because you know it and it seems very dry and routine. If it can change their practice, if it can grow their practice, put more, bring in more patients, make each patient more profitable, avoid unnecessary waste and cost, trust me, it will not be boring to them when you do that kind of follow-up training and follow-up mentoring with the office.
So I don't know how I've missed it, but I have never heard the Golden Triangle speech before.
Well, I'm so glad I shared it with you now.
And I have actually been coming from, I've only done consulting. So I guess I'm in the weird spot of the triangle.
That's great. But you got a one-legged stool and we can monetize.
I have a one-legged stool, which is why I'm here.
Right, exactly. And yeah, I think we're all in that same boat, right? Either we have the speaking really dialed in, and it's like, well, what else can I be doing? Or we have the coaching dialed in. It's like, man, I'd love some of that speaking work or training work or, whatever it is. If you had all three of these firing on all cylinders and you had $1 million business, you probably wouldn't be here right now. You'd probably be teaching your version of this to your people. So good. That's great.
So is there somewhere to find that webinar or training to go back and listen to it?
I thought I put it, Golden Triangle is not in the course modules? No. Strange. So Mary's saying yes, because Mary probably saw the webinar where I did the Golden Triangle. We'll dig it up. It's in a lot of my recorded webinars that I've done over time.
You actually answered another question that I had as to what's the difference of, you talk about different components, but this really helps me. I'm much more analytical.
Sure. Well, and again, this is part of that upfront decision-making that you do in module number 1, which is what distribution methods do you want for your expertise, right? Speaking, coaching, consulting, training, facilitation, online, offline, in-person, virtual, yada, yada, yada. I don't call it the Golden Triangle maybe in module 1, but the same thought process goes into it. I will dig up one of many versions of the Golden Triangle spiel, and I'll post it in the group for everyone's benefit.
Great, thank you.
Cool. So I think we're done with our prefab queue, and now we're kind of doing the Wild West here. So Rad says, as speakers, how much should we stress speaking on LinkedIn? I suppose I mean about versus. So you want to have this. That's a great question, because there really is a balance. Where people make a mistake is they go speaker. I'm a speaker, right? And you're not really a speaker. You're a professional problem solver. You're a professional thinker and a professional problem solver. And one of your distribution methods just happens to be, you can hire me to speak, you can hire me to train, you can hire me to coach, you can hire me to do whatever. We've got one or more options of how they consume our expertise and how they apply our expertise. So I would make it available. I'm no LinkedIn guru, but I have friends who are LinkedIn gurus. And so if you look at, I'll tell you who to look at. You can certainly look at my LinkedIn and pick up some tips there. My professional headline on LinkedIn says marketing expert, first line, marketing speaker, second thing, right? And then author of Do It Marketing, and then Marketing for Smart People, more resources available at blah, 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 blah. So my initial positioning in my professional headline is marketing expert, because an expert can have multiple distribution methods. I do want to make it known they can hire me to speak. Like, duh, you don't want to hide that fact. But you want to put yourself out there as a professional thinker and a professional problem solver. And certainly speaking might be one or even your primary distribution method for that expertise. So don't hide it. But at the same time, if you look at my professional summary, which is the first part, the big part under my headline and so forth, I say, is this you? Right? So again, this is where the is this you, clients and audiences tend to hire Bob when they're experiencing one or more of the following. Clients and audiences tend to hire Jennifer when they're experiencing one or more of the following. Clients and audiences tend to hire Rad when they're experiencing one or more. And now we're getting into the problem solution, right? That's the problem solution language. What's the headaches, heartaches, pains, problems, gaps, challenges, frustrations? Like, oh God, I hate when this happens. I can't stand this. This isn't working. What are all the things that are missing, funky, broken, and sad in their world? And then you say, okay, I get it. And how would you like, instead of those things, right? Again, pain, gain, bullets comes straight out of our work in here, right? Instead, how would you like to improve this, boost that, all the good things go up, all the bad things go down, right? Boost, generate, create, execute, implement. Finally, implement marketing that works. Stop wasting money on ineffective marketing tactics that make you feel like you're spinning on a hamster wheel, right? Get more clients, better clients who are happy to pay your premium fees. But these are mine, obviously. If some of this relates to you, great. Steal mine. It's cool. Don't steal each other's, but you can steal mine. That's what you're paying for. So think in terms of where are they, right? What are the problems that they have and don't want? And what are the outcomes that they want and don't have? And your LinkedIn profile can pretty much nail all of that, right? Hire Rad to come in and do a keynote, a seminar, or a deep dive training with your team. So now it's like, ooh, there's a call to action in my LinkedIn summary. I think I would like to bring Rad in to do a keynote, a seminar, or a deep dive work session with my team, right? Jedi mind tricks. Mm-hmm. Hire Karen now. Hire Susan now. You want to hire Susan. Susan's the speaker you've been looking for. Why not put that on LinkedIn? It's a shot on goal. It's never a bad play, right? So look at mine. Look at my friend Viveka Von Rosen, who's one of my LinkedIn expert buddies. Look at my friend Bryn Tillman. Bryn is B-R-Y-N-N-E. Bryn Tillman is another LinkedIn guru who's a buddy of mine. And she actually graduated from an earlier version of this program. Cool. She's also a big fan. She's one of the ones, I put her in the training as the one that said, I'm going to triple my business. I just finally got the articulation right. I now know what I do and who I do it for. So yeah, look at mine, look at Viveka, look at Bryn, and look at John Nemo. John Nemo, N-E-M-O. Nemo, like Finding Nemo. And those three people are the smartest people I know doing LinkedIn training. Do you need to buy their training, buy their coaching? Well, you could, or you could look at their LinkedIn profile and they practice everything they preach. So you can simply use those models. You can see how I've learned from all three of these folks. They're great. Look at what John did with his profile. Look at what Bryn's doing with her profile. Look at what Viveka's doing with her profile. They're the experts. In this arena, I'm the student. So you can kind of cross-check mine with how I implemented their model. And I didn't parrot their language because I'm not a LinkedIn expert. I simply replaced their bullets with my bullets. I replaced their structure with my structure. I replaced their phrasing with my phrasing. I replaced the clients they want to attract with the clients I want to attract. And you kind of have a do-it-yourself super-duper LinkedIn power boost right there if you do that. Like, spend a couple hours on that. Or do it during our co-working day on Monday. It'll take you literally maybe 1 or 2 hours at the most, and then your LinkedIn profile is totally turbocharged and professional grade.
Thank you.
So yeah, Vivica von Rosen, Bryn Tillman, and John Nemo.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Christy says, I'm very involved. Oh, John Hawkins is mine's based on John Nemo. He really is. John's all of these people I know personally, and they're all fantastic human beings. And if you want to really dig into LinkedIn, you can hire any of them, and they will do a great job for you. So please don't get me wrong. I'm like, don't hire them. If you're just working on your profile, you don't need to hire them. All of their training and teaching goes way beyond just what to do in your profile. And they're all really super smart and super nice people. So I'm very involved with Toastmasters, both in upper leadership, and I've won awards for my speaking. Does that scream amateur to prospect? Man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I'm going to say something. No one's ever asked this question. About twice a year, I get a question that's no one's ever asked me, and this is it. So yay, February, check the mark. Christy gets the point. I would say it reeks of amateur in front of other professional speakers. In front of muggles, meaning like the regular human beings, if you're a Harry Potter fan, right? The regular human beings, prospects. I think Toastmasters does have some credibility. A professional speaker, the Toastmaster, even though, by the way, many of the top professional speakers are still going to Toastmasters to work on their craft. And you talk to any successful professional speaker, even me, I have not done Toastmasters. If you want to work on your speaking skills, there's nothing better than Toastmasters. I went to a couple of meetings and just in my area, there's like, it didn't flip my switch. But if I was really serious about upping my presentation skills, even though I've been speaking and presenting for 25 years, I would still want to go to a Toastmasters club to sharpen the saw. So I would say that your bias is only going to be among your peers. But by the way, your peers do not pay you money, right? Your peers are not going to hire you. So some other speaker that goes, oh, Toastmasters, well, that's amateur hour. That's for the little kids, right? Corporate person, they're like, wow, I love Toastmasters. I've been going for 7 years. Speaking is really hard. And you have this designation. You're a leader. And in fact, one of my, this is totally sleight of hand illusion, right? I make a big deal of my leadership roles in the National Speakers Association. So one of my 7 reasons to hire David, it simply says a leader among speakers, right? And I talk about being president. I talk about serving on the national level. I talk about Voices of Experience, my national podcast that I'm hosting. All of these different things. It's like, well, so what? It's like a leader among plumbers. Hey, okay. But if I was a plumber, I'd want to be a leader among plumbers, right? Is that I am dedicated to my craft. I'm dedicated to my profession. I'm willing to give back. I'm happy to serve. I'm a big deal in this little tiny fishbowl. If you're a big deal in Toastmasters, you also are a big deal in a little tiny fishbowl. The only people that might denigrate that are, the snobby professional speakers, even though all the good professional speakers know that Toastmasters is hugely valuable. So that's how I'd handle that. I would not eliminate it. I totally would not eliminate it. I think that you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you eliminate it. You might get some ribbing from some of your fellow speakers, but, screw them. They don't get it. I think Toastmasters is hugely valuable. And it shows your dedication and professionalism, frankly, to the muggles. Maybe not to the bigwigs, but we don't sell to bigwigs. We sell to muggles. So there you go. Okay. What else? Anything else from anyone else? We covered a lot of ground today. This was fantastic. See, the more questions you bring, the better these mentoring sessions become. Think about that. And then the more distinctions that you post in the Facebook group, the more of this content you get to keep between your ears. Because here's why we ask you to do it. Not a lot of folks are doing it. I don't know if we have to come and beat you up or put you in a headlock and give you a Dutch rub or something. But here's the mantra. Here's why we're encouraging after every single call that you capture your takeaways and your ahas and your distinctions and your big ideas. Writing crystallizes thought, and thought crystallizes action. If you don't write it down, it disappears like a little bird. When you write it down, right, you've thought about it, you're writing it down, then there's going to be an action step that stems from that insight or that aha or that takeaway or that distinction. That's going to get you into action. So I'm not going to force Len to make another bumper sticker, but I think one mantra that I really believe in, that's why I've got a pen in my hand the whole time here, because you guys are saying brilliant things and I'm writing stuff down. Writing crystallizes thought, and thought crystallizes action. And the more things you write down, the faster your business will accelerate. Whether it's a business idea, marketing idea, sales idea, about your topic, about your prospect. And again, literally, if I hadn't had a pen and pad in my car back in 2006, 2007, Hank's Diner, right, with the bacon and eggs breakfast that we started talking about, when that guy said, I'm tired of throwing money into a marketing black hole, thank God I had a pen. Thank God I wasn't just sitting there going, yeah, marketing black hole. Could you pass the bacon? Yeah, and just, right, in one ear, out the other, that golden nugget that I've really, I would even say it sounds silly to say that I've pivoted my business around that one headline, around that one sound bite. But when I realized that my positioning is a lot of marketing consultants, web consultants, social media consultants, video people, podcast people are shysters and goofballs. And I say, well, are you tired of throwing money into a marketing black hole? That was a total turning point in my business. That was a total turning point. When you say something like that, you're saying, they're the bad guys, I'm the good guy. Now you have to back that up, of course, but the positioning is, don't listen to them. I know it's not your first rodeo. I know you've been burned and let down and disappointed before. I am not that guy, right? I am not that guy. You are not that gal. As soon as you call out the elephant in the room, man, a lot of marketing is just hot air and BS, and you don't know what you're getting and you don't know what you're buying, and they're building websites and tweeting and blogging and Facebooking and Spacebooking, and you don't know where that's going to lead. Yeah, that's how I feel. As soon as we can mirror what they feel about solving the problems that we solve, we win, because now we're on the same side of the table. And now it's like, well, Susan must know what we're up against because she described it so powerfully. Bob must know. Bob probably installed listening devices in our office, and he probably bugged our phones because, man, he knows exactly what's going on in here because he's calling out the elephant in the room. So part of your marketing is calling out the elephant in the room with with RAD, due process there, and TM with the animal leadership. RAD calls out all kinds of animals in the room, including elephants, but just so you know. So that's that. And Karen's graduating. Are you graduating? Is that what you put in there? Oh my God, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you, dude. I know. Well, yeah. We're going to get you pulled into the alumni group.
That's what I hear.
And what happens in the alumni group stays in the alumni group.
Good.
So just be careful. Congratulations. I mean, this was fantastic progress. Give me a quick check-in. How's the whole new positioning, new aspect, new angle on what you're doing? How's that all rolling out?
Really well. And so this has been tremendously helpful in repositioning. And I want to tell you a quick funny anecdote that Teresa may have passed along to you, because there was somebody earlier in the group who had reached out to me saying when she saw that I was on this group that it scared her. She contacted me directly and she said, I saw you in this group. And she said, I thought to myself, oh my God, is the speaking industry really that hard? And what I was trying to explain to her is that, a real professional, in my humble opinion, is that you invest in yourself every year. It's like, why wouldn't you? You just keep moving that needle forward. And the fact that I'm in a point in my life where I am repositioning, I'm moving into a new target market, and I'm really evolving my materials and the book and everything that's coming out of this. And so this is an incredible journey for 2018 with the book, Funny Means Money, the new target market, some potential opportunities coming up. And you and Teresa have been extremely helpful, and I really appreciate that. And these conversations will continue. And it's been nice to also connect with some of the other folks in this group. So and this has been a great modeling opportunity for me, because as I sent you in a private message, this is something that I'm also building for my tribe, my people. You know, it's like I want to have the monthly membership and the Facebook group and all of that. Right. So I'm happy to see. I love that you're using Kajabi, because that's a platform that I'm learning myself, and some more questions for you.
Sure. No, absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you what you just said there about my version of that is the master is always the student.
Yes.
The master is always the student. And I invest a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, like ridiculous amount of money in my coaching and my mentoring and in all of these things. I always say, you know, beware of the expert that doesn't invest in other experts. Right, because then you become this kind of echo chamber, right? Beware the coach that doesn't hire a coach. Beware the mentor without a mentor. Because like, well, wait a second. If you think this mentoring and training and teaching and sharpening the saw thing is so important, how are you sharpening the saw?
Right.
You better have a good answer, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I invest in my business. I invest in my professional development. I invest in my skills. And so Karen knows this, because, you know, we get this sometimes when we're in a National Speakers Association meeting. You know, we'll walk in, someone sits down next to us, and they go, well, why are you here? You know all this. Don't you know all this?
I hear that all the time.
I know, right? And it's like, no, the moment you think you know all this is when you start to die professionally. And I'm just looking for those 2 or 3 or 4 nuggets. I'm looking for that next little quantum inflection. You know, I don't need to fill up the data bank, but man, I'm always hungry for those nuggets and those nuances and things I could be doing better, faster, smarter, or easier. So I'm always learning. And I think the master is always the student.
Well, and so much of what, you know, as I've gone through this process, and I think what some of the folks will find, and I'm hoping they're asking themselves, it's like there's things that I did back in the beginning that were basics, and you kind of ask yourself later, why did I stop doing that? You know, and it's like new shiny stuff comes in, but you know, going back to the basics is always a great opportunity and experience, and one that I would encourage everybody to do. And, you know, really invest in yourself every year. You know, when you stop growing, you're dying. And, you know, if you really want to be a thought leader and you really want to be somebody who is worthy of getting up in front of a group, you got to keep upping your game, push yourself into that, you know, outside the comfort zone.
And luckily, we're preaching to the choir. We're preaching to the choir right here, because that's why we're all here. So Karen, you are awesome. We will connect about the online stuff that you asked about, and it's totally amazing to have you as part of the group.
Thanks, David.
You bet. Anything else for anyone else at this point? Other questions, anything before we hit co-working day on Monday? By the way, Karen, you're welcome to join us. The way that these co-working days are put out there is if you hear the announcement, if you're in the program when we announce it, you're welcome in the program. So it's not like, oh yeah, Karen's done, we're getting her out of here.
Well, the good news, bad news is
if you're able to on Monday.
I'll be at 35,000 feet on my way to a full fee gig. Yeah. But,
that's right. Well, so co-work on your own, and then you and I will connect separately.
Fabulous.
Can you co-work on your own? I'm not sure.
At 35, well,
co-pilot.
Noise in my head.
Right, exactly right. All right, team. Well, fabulous to see everyone. Co-working on Monday. We're back in the saddle on Tuesday. Yeah, so there you go. Licensed to be badass. Yeah, okay, fantastic. Great tip. I'm glad that we squeezed that in. And thank you for the soundbite. So it sounds like that's Kelly's distinction for today is beware the coach without a coach, beware the mentor without a mentor. All right, guys. And Bob, I will see you tonight. Can't wait. And I got to just take some throat lozenges so I'm set for Pittsburgh. Okay, Bye, everybody.